welcome to the Horror of It All movie podcast. I'm Eric. This time I'm going to be finally doing, if you've been following my videos, my top... Now, this is an ambitious number, I know, but keep in mind how many numbers Vinegar Syndrome has for releases. My top 40 Vinegar Syndrome. That had a nice ring to it. I can narrow it down to 40. That's a little bit over 10% of their releases. Granted, I have stipulations, so it's probably a little bit more than that, but very slightly. And it's going to be spanned out from 4 videos. One this week, next week, week after, and the week of the halfway to Black Friday sale. So a lot of these are, you can take them as recommendations, you can take them as whatever. I am a giant Vinegar Syndrome fan. I have been doing videos for them on my channel for most of the time, so I have quite a few. There's a whole folder on my channel, if you look. It's just Vinegar Syndrome stuff. No, I'm not exclusively a Vinegar Syndrome channel, but I do a lot of Vinegar Syndrome. I've been buying from them since 2013, so almost since the beginning. It started out with conventions and stuff like that, and at first, well, no, I'll back up. It might not have just been conventions. Might have been just, buying releases and stuff at first. And for the first, few months or whatever, started noticing the girl on the spine. I'm like, I buy a lot of these. And then I started noticing them for sure when I going to conventions, especially Rock and Shock in Worcester, Massachusetts, which unfortunately isn't anymore. Not just because of the pandemic, but pre-pandemic, they stopped doing it, unfortunately. But, I mean, I have, if any old school people remember, there's a shirt and a hoodie. It's not one, I have their first shirts as well. One has a hand with, film around it. One has film reels instead of a girl's boobs. But that was always my favorite one. The one with the film reel and the horns. And years passed, and I just kept going and going and going. Became a subscriber when I could. And I'm one of the fans that I genuinely enjoy, I'd say, 99% of their releases, if not slightly more than that. I'm the opposite of a lot. Those are just my type of movies, Sometimes it's quote-unquote trash, but I love that kind of stuff, If a movie's great, it's great. If a movie is so bad it's good, they got that. If a movie is just genuinely just really good, they have that, and they're all over the place, too. I mean, they focus a lot on horror, but they also, of course, have erotica, as they call it, or adult films. Excuse me, and that's how they started. And they have sci-fi, they have comedies, they have, but yeah, if you've been following my channel, or this is your first video, just know I'm one of those top fans of Vinegar Syndrome. They're my absolute favorite label, and I have a blast with them and look forward to them every single month, like clockwork. When I am able to subscribe, or when I'm not able to subscribe, I'm right there at 12:01 to check out the releases. If I gotta buy, then without being a subscriber, I will. I'm gonna be a subscriber again, thankfully, and thanks to my wife helping out, of course. I wouldn't be able to do it without her. I really appreciate it. She's also the one that does the art for the channel now, like my thumbnails, the art. So that's pretty cool. Cupcake Creations is what she calls it herself. We used to do little burn discs and stuff of that, of movies and things like that. But anyway, and she called it that way early on in our relationship. Because we have been married for quite a while, and we've been together completely for 15 years. And this year will be our 10th anniversary this summer, so that's really cool. But yeah, she's she's the reason why I can do this, but she's obviously the opposite of a lot of wives people complain about or are worried about on, like, in groups and stuff, like, oh no, my wife will see my PayPal, or my wife will see my bank account. She's one that's like, did you get everything that you wanted? Like, genuinely, like, because she knows how much I love it, and that I'm into movies in general, and how really, like, my fandom is for obsession, really, like, in a good way. Like, I'll take it. I even have a buddy that, like, wow, like, jokingly, like, wow, you even set an alarm for their sales or their orders and stuff. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, wow, like a drug problem, so to speak. I'll take it, man. That's better, to me. And I have so much fun with it. And but yeah, I just wanted to put all that out in the beginning of the video. This video, I will be doing 3 honorable mentions towards the end. And I'm going to be doing the first 10. So each video will have 4, yeah. Each video will have 10 releases, counting right down to the number 1. So it's kind of like, if you ever saw, like, I know I'm dating myself, but people like around my age might know, or you might catch it on YouTube. I have it saved on my channel, I believe. The 100 Scariest Movie Moments, and you just count it down. I just thought top 40 sounded cool. Like, radio stations probably still do that. I don't know. I don't listen to the radio, but I know they used to. I remember growing up with that type of stuff, so I thought 40 was a nice round number. I started with 25, and it ended up at 40, which I think is pretty good. Honestly, I know some people might think it's excessive, but when I genuinely have 99% of their releases, and I love 99% of those releases, there's very, 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 very few that I don't have, and those were ones that were super early on, that were super limited, and I wasn't buying like I am now, like directly from them. If I was, I would have known that. Even my first release was their first release. So, like, the Herschel Gordon Lewis Nudie Cutie set, I think that's what they called those movies before, like, the whole Gorehound thing. Was it before? It was either before or after. I can't remember. Anyway, that won't be on there. It's not that I don't like it, but I had to narrow it down. Even 40 sounds like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, there's almost 400 releases. They're up to 392, I think, now, as of right now. This is the beginning of May in 2022. So this is everything leading up to that. This will not include anything after that, of course, but this will include stuff all through there that are my absolute favorites. It's really hard, but I did it. And it's not to say anything that I don't mention in any of these videos. There's tons of movies I still love, and looking back, obviously, because even in the time that I made the list, I've switched up things here and there. So through time, those top things are going to change. This is just as of right now, as of that time that I just told you that I'm recording this video. But again, I love so many other releases. I wish I could say all of the releases, but that would be ridiculous, and I need a top whatever, so it's a top 40. So in this video, I'm going to be doing my from 40 to 31, and so on in each video. Like I said, 4 videos. I'm going to do one video a week leading up to the halfway to Black Friday sale. I'll be posting them on groups. So maybe help some new people. I don't know. I'm not really honestly doing it for any particular reason other than the fact of I really wanted to nail it down and do like a top whatever, not just favorites. I have tons of other videos where I do like in previous sales, I've done videos where I did a series of videos where in each one I said like 6 favorites of mine, no order, blah blah blah, but I finally did it. But I wanted to add before I get into it, now that I'm almost 10 minutes in and giving you the gist of all this stuff. I'm sure people already know, but if you're not familiar with Vinegar Syndrome, I always found it interesting. I said it on my first video, I'll say it again. If you're curious what Vinegar Syndrome means, it's basically the deterioration of film, and it gives off, this is the gist, it gives off a scent of like vinegar, basically. And that's how it like rots, and Vinegar Syndrome is all about preserving those films, because there's so many films, like in the way back in the beginning, like in the those films are gone. They're just gone, unfortunately. So they're really trying to just save film, and they're amazing at it, and their restorations are amazing. And I love hearing podcasts with anybody involved, like Justin LaLiberty or Brad Henderson, or Joe Rubin. The first two are the ones I hear the most, but I love when Joe Rubin does stuff because it's a little different. He's the one who started it. He's not even into really physical media. He's more into film itself. And he was, at a very young age, did a really good podcast, but at a very young age he talked about that he got into like adult film, or erotica as they call it, and not even for the reasons you would expect, because he was so young. He just loved the movies, and a lot of their adult movies that they put out are good movies. Like, it's not like today where it's just sex, it's a movie. It has a plot. Some of them are more sillier than others, and those are a lot of fun. But that's kind of a general census. I'll get into my list from 40 to 31. The last thing I wanted to add was to narrow it down, to make it a little bit easier. I will do separate videos for some of the stuff I mentioned. This will not include any box sets, any movies in the box sets, any adult films, any VSAs or VSPs, which I want to say it right now, and I'll probably say it as it gets closer to the end. If I did include VSP, however, New York Ninja would be in my top 3. That's how much I love New York Ninja, and it's such a cool part of their history because they put it together, and they I'm blanking on his name, but a guy that works for him, he edited it and everything, and they had to dub it with a lot of Vinegar Syndrome alumni, so to speak, which makes it sound like they make the movies, but that they don't. It's just they release them and they restore them, and they're just amazing, and I'm just fanboying out about it. Excuse me. But yeah, it won't include any of that stuff. I will be doing, I might even be able to squeeze it in before the sale. My main goal is to do these 4 videos. If I have time, I'm going to be doing my ranking of the VSAs, which, if you've watched some of my channel and know some of the ones that I like, some of the ones that are my favorites are ones that are people's least favorites. but it's all a matter of opinion. Let's just have fun with this. Just like my choices for my top 40. Just let's have fun with this. I know some people I don't understand the thing of people getting upset with somebody's ranking or liking or whatever. It's like, you do you. How does that take away from your favorites? It doesn't. But that's me, I wish more people were like that, but unfortunately, that's how it is. But I'll also be, which I haven't mentioned on other videos, I will also be putting these up as I do on my Letterboxd, which I have a link in my channel as well for that, which I've done all my top 10s from each year in the 1980s in there, and I have other rankings on my Letterboxd that I've never even done on my channel, I'm trying to think, like my ranking for Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween, which those are a little different too. But anyway, yeah, I think I included everything. I'll also be doing a favorite, a ranking of my favorite releases for partner labels. My favorite partner labels as of right now, my top 3, I guess you would say, would be Fun City, Saturn's Core, and Culture Shock. Those are probably my 3 favorites right now. And I'll be doing a ranking of even other ones that aren't necessarily my favorite label, but they put out a really good movie. Because I've been having fun with those too. I mean, first and foremost, it's always Vinegar Syndrome. I get those first. If I have money left, if I'm able to, I'll get whatever partner labels really speak to me, and I've been buying quite a bit of them, and so far so good. I mean, there's been a hiccup or two, but not too bad. But But yeah, none of those. Also, I'm not gonna do any of the like double features, I guess. Like none of those. So this is narrowing it really down. So maybe this is like 20% ish, 18%. But yeah. And I don't think there's any DVDs in here. So that also narrows it down. That wasn't like a stipulation for me. It just happened to realize that that's the case. So when I say double feature 2, Scanner Cop won't be in here, but Scanner Cop would definitely be in like my top 10. Let's to put it in perspective where it would be if I did include it. I'm also would love to do a video of, how do I put it? Comprised of all their box sets, but in each box set, which one is my favorite movie, and then maybe rank those, or just say which one's my favorite movie in each box set. I haven't quite decided. Anyway, long-winded thing. Anyway, if people are into my videos, cool. You know that I go off on a bit of tangents, but okay. I'm trying to think and remember if I did everything. Oh, I will be doing a. I haven't decided if it's top 5 or top 10. Maybe top 5. I don't know. Of the adult titles. Something different for my channel. Not a lot of people would be into that, but one of my favorite YouTubers, Michael Keane, if not my favorite YouTuber, does do the adult stuff and talk about it and everything. And hey, I enjoy those too. So it's like, I know it's a little bit more restricted on what you can show and talk about, but anyway, I'll probably be doing that, but those aren't also, like I said, included. I think that's it. So yeah, without further ado, 17 minutes in, the beginning of my top 40, from 40 to 31, I will try to keep on track with the number. Number 40 of my top 40 Vinegar Syndromes of all time, Prey. Now this movie always intrigued me because I saw this cover on VHS when I was a kid, and it always intrigued me, and I always wanted to watch it, and I finally watched it as I got older. Not because it was because I got older, just genuinely the cover kind of freaked me out, but unfortunately the cover also gives away the ending, but you don't really know that until you watch it, if that makes sense. Kind of like the Anthropophagus cover, which I might, spoiler alert. But anyway, Prey is a lot of fun. It's basically about this guy that ends up going in, like, these two women, lesbian couple, find him in the woods, and he's an alien, and he basically, everything is his prey, I guess. A terrifying encounter with the unknown. It is my favorite Norman J. Warren movie. I also bought that box set, which is not Vinegar Syndrome, but I'm gonna try to get through these without trying to talk about too much other stuff. But yeah, Prey is really good. I really love it. In my, equal parts bloody and erotic, Vinegar Syndrome presents this masterpiece of British horror on Blu-ray. But yeah, this is also when the back of their slipcovers were the same back as the movie. Now I like that they either put a picture, sometimes it's blank, but it's like a cool color or something. Not everybody's into that, but I am. I don't think it really shows too much here. That's the other one, but it's just a very creepy, atmospheric, bloody, I can't stress the fact how creepy I think it is. But yeah, fully uncut for the first time since the 80s VHS release, the one I was talking about, Norman J. Warren's Prey. Yeah, I could do a whole episode on this one. But anyway, number 39 is, whoops, messed this up here, apologize, hold on one second. One of the more recent ones that I really dug, I don't think I've ever seen it, was Hard Rock Zombies. I thought Hard Rock Zombies was just a lot of fun. If you're not really into quote-unquote so bad it's good movies, some people probably might consider this that. I had talked with, not in detail of necessarily the plot, but with a buddy of mine who is actually, not trying to name drop, but Ryan Waste, the guitar player of Municipal Waste. I was trying to help him find a VHS of this because we trade back and forth stuff and everything. We kind of met on the internet, but whenever he comes to my area, if I'm able to go see him, my wife and I can go hang out with him. But that's actually Vinegar Syndrome adjacent related now, because I mean they're going to be doing they're going to be part of one of the partner label releases. What is it called? Oh man, I'll think of it. But yeah, anyway, you see it right in the special features. It's the Slime and Punishment video from their previous album. But anyway, Hard Rock Zombies is basically about a heavy metal band has been invited to appear in a conversive small town. What they don't know is that their hosts are actually a family of horrific murderers and mutants. Now that's essentially a good portion of the first third of the movie, but then it gets just batshit crazy, and it's just so much fun. And then they get killed and they come back to life for revenge, and there are corny parts. It's definitely one of those metal movies from the 80s that's horror. It's horror, but it's a lot of fun. I really like it. If you're into movies that didn't necessarily cost a lot and didn't necessarily acted in the greatest, a lot of those movies are great. I love those movies. If you're not into that, well then maybe you won't be into Hard Rock Zombies, but I genuinely loved it. It is my number 39. It is a double feature with Slaughterhouse Rock. That is not an honorable mention or anything, and not to say I don't like it, but it's definitely not an absolute favorite. But I was thrilled when this was coming out. All I could think of was, but yeah, it's the new Culture Shock release. Say I got that much. What is it? It's something game. I'm blanking on it. I just barely saw it, so it's still fresh. But I did pre-order it. Anyway. Hard Rock Zombies, a lot of fun. Maybe not necessarily in the vein of say Trick or Treat, because Trick or Treat's way more serious. Not to say this isn't goofy. It's not a spoof or anything. It's just a lot of fun. But there is a band in it. Maybe kind of like Black Roses to a degree, but in that vein. I'm not saying it's really like any of those movies, but you could put it with this double feature, I guess, something like Black Roses. But yeah, Hard Rock fucking Zombies. Love it. Love it. My number 38 is actually a release that unfortunately you can't get anymore. And this is one of the early releases that I got. 2016. This particular one was limited at the time to 3,000, and I don't think it ever had a slipcase or anything. It would be really cool if they did one, but again, it'd be kind of a gray area because they couldn't sell the movie, because usually when they do those slipcases, you can either buy it with or without the movie. But I had this for quite a while. I bought it at a convention because it looked really fun, and it was actually above and beyond what I expected. Or was hoping for. My number 38, Horror House on Highway 5. Lots of fun. Again, if you're not really into cheap movies or just what are they called? Homemade horror? Is it called like that? Or just low budget movies and not really professional actors. Sometimes people aren't even actors. Really, what are you doing with Vinegar Syndrome in a way? I know that sounds kind of dickish, but that is a lot of what they do, I mean, they have bigger things, but one of the most confusing and compelling homemade horror movies ever made. I didn't really find it that confusing, personally. I genuinely just liked it. Future music video director Richard Casey's debut feature film shot over years on nights and weekends, which I think he did a really good job because I don't really notice that, which is really good because you never know. Things could just be crazy. But I'm also just I don't pick apart movies. I just genuinely either accept them or enjoy them for what they are. And this movie is a blast. When I got to the end of it, it really had a moment of like, oh fuck, like holy shit, because there is some really good suspense in it. Over Years and Nights is a delicious collage collage of oddball gore, ludicrous plot twist, and a general milieu of weirdness unlike anything else in cinema history. Yeah. This one has a really quick synopsis, and it's really good, and I'm gonna read it. A mysterious killer wearing a Nixon mask terrorizes and murders a young couple. A professor assigns his students to a project investigating the strange events connected to a possible dead Nazi scientist, Dr. Frederick Bartholomew. No, that wasn't a question. Sorry, that's how I read it. The doctor's assistant kidnaps students, holding them hostage and torturing them. Meanwhile, Nixon stalks the night. So much fun. I really wish people could just get this still from Vinegar Syndrome. I know there's people out there that will take the eBay route. This is probably up there, but I love it. I highly recommend it. That's my number 38 of my top 40 Vinegar Syndromes of all time. This next one I have talked about before on like my favorites. It is, I'm probably going to butcher his name as I do, but Uli Lamel's Olivia. This was blind buy for me, which is a lot. I didn't mention that before. That's one thing I love about Vinegar Syndrome. A lot of people might not be able to do that, but they, how do I put it? They fulfill my, that's not the right word, but my hope for whatever movie. Like, they don't really let me down hardly ever, if ever. And it's just that small little, like, you're going to have that. I'm not going to love everything, but I love most of it. And I'm usually a blind buyer. That's what I love about Vinegar Syndrome. All these other labels, 9 times out of 10, I've seen the fucking movie or I own the movie on a different format. If they're favorites, I'll upgrade them or whatever. Some of them come out, like say Arrow will release some more obscure shit that I'm like, yeah, awesome. But a lot of times I know those too. Vinegar Syndrome, on the other hand, it's like going to a video store when I was a kid and just picking out something that I'd never heard of it. I have no idea. I even surprised friends, like a buddy of mine, that he's like, "You've never heard of this?" I'm like, "No, I don't know what it is. I've seen thousands and thousands and thousands of movies, but Vinegar Syndrome is always the one that I'm like, I have no idea." Which is weird that I didn't come across this somehow. I don't know. Maybe it was super rare. I don't know. Because, I mean, I really liked his movie, what is that? The Boogeyman. But yeah, perhaps the most offbeat film of his fascinating career, German actor turned exploitation auteur, Uli Lamel. Olivia, also known as Prozzy in Double Jeopardy, finds a distinctive blend of slasher, erotic thriller, and straightforward sleaze, seasoned with touches of semi-surrealism. Atmospherically photographed and featuring a moody score by Joel Goldsmith. But yeah, love this release. Olivia was completely blind by, and it's definitely one that I haven't gone back to, because I go back to a lot of them. But I gotta rewatch this, and I'm sure I will once I do this list. There's gonna be movies that I'm like, how have I not watched that again? This is one of them. I think I've watched it twice, actually, but love this movie, and I do highly recommend it, even though this isn't what it was about, really, and it's not, but you can take it as that, like I said. But yeah, my number 37 of my top 40, Olivia. All right. Another release from, when did this come out? 19, yeah. Another 2016. This is a bit of a hidden gem, I think, in their catalog is Psychic Killer, my number 36 favorite release of Vinegar Syndrome of all time. He freed his mind and body to commit the most sensual, that is what it says, and shocking acts imaginable. The title kind of tells you. It's very unique. It's definitely a killer that is kind of uses his mind to kill people and stuff. I don't remember how it works. I probably haven't. I've watched this a couple of times, but it's been many years. But I remember loving it. Actually, no, I watched this like a year ago. Yep. Now that I'm looking at the pictures, this one I will read the quick synopsis here. Arnold Master is a mild-mannered man who obsesses over his mother, but finds himself implicated in a murder he didn't commit, and is sent to an asylum. While incarcerated, a fellow patient teaches him the techniques of astral projection, also known as Curlian, I think that's how it's said, effect, which is the ability to use the mind and control objects at will. When the real killer is found and Arnold is released, only to find that during his time in the asylum, his mother has died, and he vows vengeance against those responsible for setting him up, and begin to use his powers to exact bloody revenge. Number 36, Psychic Killer. I believe this was one of those slipcases that they released during a halfway or a Black Friday sale. I can't remember. Really cool slipcase, nice embossed here. Anyway, one thing I didn't include, I think I'll just do this real quick. If you're curious, Prey is number 209. Hard Rock Zombies is recent, so that's 390. Horror House on Highway 5 is 134. Olivia is 312, and Psychic Killer's 120. I don't know if anybody cares about that. I could have just wasted my time, but I'm going to try to remember that as I go through it. All right. Now, another one that was a blast and a complete amazing blind buy, so to speak. This came out a little bit after. This was 2018, so this slipcover came with it. Sudden Fury, where am I? Number 35 in my top 40 Vinegar Syndromes. This is a 1975 movie. I didn't say when stuff was. Like Prey's 70s, Hard Rock Zombies is 80s, Horror House on Highway 5 is 80s, Olivia is 80s. I think Psychic Killer is also 70s, 75. So we get two 75s in a row. Sorry about that. Anyway, let's see. Sudden Fury, an explosive story of an accident that turned into murder. It's riveting and criminally underrated Hitchcockian thriller, prolific NFB short film director. I'm not sure what that means off the top of my head. Sudden Fury ranks as one of the finest forgotten films to emerge out of Canada's mid-70s tax shelter era, given only a small theatrical release and nearly impossible to view in the ensuing decades. Fred and his wife Janet had been experiencing problems in their marriage, but when he refuses to help him fund the building of a rural resort and subsequently reveals that she has an affair, Fred snaps, staging a car accident on a country road and leaving Janet for dead. What seems like a perfect crime, disguised as an accident, is spoiled by an unexpected arrival of Al, an innocent passerby. In his attempt to save Janet, quickly finds himself fingered as the most likely suspect in her murder. Sudden Fury. This movie just blew me away. It's so amazing. He tried to save a woman's life and suddenly became the victim. Sudden Fury, number 35. Where am I? 35. Yeah, I was right. All right, number 34. We're getting through here. I watched this one when I first got it. This was another one that got a catalog slip. This is an older release. Oh, wait, sorry. Sudden Furious 253. My next one is 95, and it's Frightmare. This one was definitely one that I liked it when I first saw it, but I wouldn't say it was a favorite. And a lot of times when I get these the catalog slips, if I hadn't watched the movie, in a little while, I'll go back and I'll watch it. And I was pleasantly surprised. Going back to it, it turned into a favorite. This is the alternate artwork, the horror star. It's basically about this guy who is a horror icon, and he's aging, so he's not doing so well with his acting. He's still trying. But basically, he ends up dying, and these people, do they inherit it? I'm trying to remember. I watch a lot of movies. Anyway, I'll read the synopsis real quick. If somebody doesn't like that, comment below or just fast forward. No, don't comment below. Just fast forward. Anyway, let's see. Conrad Radzoff was the biggest name in horror movies for decades until one day he died of a heart attack. Determined to celebrate his life and death, the members of a local horror film society steal his freshly buried corpse and decide to host a party in honor. Where are we? A party in. I lost my spot. Sorry. In honor of their old and lavish lavish mansion. Jesus. Unaware of that, Radzoff's interest in horror and extended beyond the silver screen and into the black arts. His corpse is soon reanimated and begins to exacting bloody revenge against those who distributed his final resting place. Sly 80s combination of 80s slasher tropes with insightful and self-reflective look at the meaning of horror movies and death itself. Yeah, his body's in, his casket is in, like, the basement of the place. Like, that doesn't tell you everything, I don't think. I feel like it was his house. I could be wrong, but, again, I watched this kind of recently, and I'm pretty sure. It had something to do with that. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, because it had, like, his posters around. But anyway, Frightmare. There's a couple movies called this. This is the one that, I don't know if it was his first movie, but Jeffrey Combs has a supporting role in it. He's a little goofy in it, but, like, not as serious as he can be. Yeah, I know people are thinking, like, well, his movies have goof to it, but I don't find him, like, acting goofy. But, my number 30, where are we? 34, Frightmare. Great. I really love this movie, and it's number 95, as I said. All right, getting down there. Number 33, from the director of the infamous Psychos in Love, Disconnected. I think this is highly underrated. Some people weren't into it. It was number 199. This was also back when they did the back of the slip is the same as which I have it flipped with the purple there. Alicia's been receiving strange phone calls in which a loud and ghastly sounds echo through the receiver. Her relationship with her boyfriend Mike has hit a dead end, and Alicia fears he's having an affair with her twin sister, Barbara Ann. All the while, a psychotic slasher is murdering young women with the police powerless to stop him. But then, Alicia meets kind and nerdy Franklin. Will he be the man she is searching for, or will his own dark secret destroy their newfound happiness? Let's see, a low-budget regional slasher oddity that subverts genre expectations, leading to a brutal and unsettling finale, never officially released on DVD. This is a lot more serious than Psychos in Love. So just because it's the same director, don't compare the two. But I highly recommend this one. I think it's out of print though, like completely. I believe. Could be wrong, but I think it is. Like even without the slip, yeah, the rights or something. But anyway, I could be wrong there. I'm not 100%, but yeah. Where am I? Number 33 of my top 40 Vinegar Syndrome releases and movies is Connected. Number 32, another early one that had a catalog slip, Night Train to Terror. This one I have seen. I'd say all of these except Prey I hadn't seen. This I had seen, but I was so glad to get it on Blu-ray. It was one of my super early. Like you can even tell if you're curious. Like the backs of there, it was very different. They hadn't gotten the groove yet, so to speak, but they still did great restorations and stuff. When did they release this? It's really hard to see. Well, it gives you an idea. It's number 17, so super early. Trying to see, but I don't. 2013, yeah. So this is one of the first releases I got, because it was Night Train to Terror. It was probably one of those that I got because I was like, "Ooh, Night Train to Terror is on Blu-ray." It's a silly movie. It's an anthology movie. I can quickly go through it. I originally had seen this movie as one of those budget packs, or like I used to call it something else, like horror packs, like you get for like $5-10, and there's like fucking like 20 movies or 50 movies or something. This was on a lot of them, but I really like this movie. It's silly. It has its moments of like super low budget stuff, but as I said, this is the world I live in. This is Vinegar Syndrome. But yeah, a rock band gives their final performance on a hellbound trip into the outer reaches of horror. So it's basically God and the devil on the train, and they are telling stories about certain people and things like that. But the train itself, I believe, is going to crash or something. I can't believe I don't remember that part of it. But yeah, aboard a fast-moving train bound to hell, God and Satan decide the fates. That's it. Decide the fates of two unfortunate mortals. I'm sorry that sometimes I forget movies, but I watch thousands and thousands of movies, so sometimes it has to jog my memory. I've seen this quite a few times, but it happens. And each one is called the person's name. In Harry, a fiendish killer keeps the horribly mutilated body parts of his countless victims in a diabolical torture chamber. That's story one. In Greta, a young woman obsessed with death takes part in an unspeakable ritual of Russian roulette. And finally, in Claire, a young woman and a Holocaust survivor are terrorized by the son of Satan. There is a bonus film on the DVD when they used to do DVDs of Greta. I think that was... there's also a Hysteria Continues commentary on here. I should have been talking about that stuff too, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's Night Train to Terror. It may again not be a lot of people's favorite, but again, the more and more you hear about some people and they're not favorites, are usually the ones that I'm like, well, is Vinegar Syndrome really for you? Maybe not. Teach their own. But Night Train to Terror, my number 32 of my top 40 Vinegar Syndrome releases of all time. And again, this is number 17. This is might be the earliest one in my whole top 40. I'm not sure. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to mention real quick before I get into the end here. There is an Hysteria Continues on Frightmare. Because it is about the releases, so I'd like to talk about anything specific. Like, all these have really good special features with like filmmakers and directors and actors and stuff. But yeah. Oh, and another thing with Night Train to Terror, the band that's on the train is, in my opinion, pretty bad, but it's funny. Like, it's funny, entertaining kind of thing. I think there's a really good documentary on this, for, where are we? For Hard Rock Zombies, I think. Yep. Never Say Die. It's a documentary on Hard Rock Zombies and talking about the making and stuff like that. And there's a ton of Norrin special features on Prey. So, yeah. I will try to be a little bit better with that on the next thing, but hey, it happens, you know? But anyway, before I get to my number 31, now that I'm running long and call it an episode, I do have, I know, long-winded and so many, I got 40 fucking releases in this thing. I'm just going to basically show you these. Hold on, one more thing. I don't think it was it? No. Okay. I couldn't remember if Hard Rock Zombies was 4K. Just because they've been releasing so many 4Ks. But speaking of 4Ks, this one was really close to being in my top 40, and again, I love it. I really do love this movie. It is definitely one that I want to rewatch soon. Terminal Island, I loved it. I thought it was great. It's a 1973 movie. It has a young Tom Selleck in it. He's not the main star, but it's basically about these like hardened criminals taken from death row and condemned to Devil's Island. And basically it turns into almost like an apocalyptic type scenario, and there's like leader, and like of course there's good people, there's bad people, and all that stuff. But Terminal Island, and it's a 4K, so in case you're curious, that's the reverse. I really like that, but again, it didn't quite make it. Another 4K that didn't quite make it is a movie I went in completely blind, and it's disgusting, but I had a blast with. Ebola Syndrome. If anybody knows about Ebola Syndrome, you know what I mean. It's a movie from 1996. It's the more recent one, number 379. 364 for Terminal Island. I don't know if this really matters. I just try to think of anything I can add. Ebola Syndrome is kind of like, there's like this disease that people are like catching, and it's ironically kind of like a cold thing, in darkly comedic splatter film, mastered and stars Hong Kong cult film superstar Anthony Wong, who's a complete piece of shit in the movie. But yeah, the Ebola Syndrome. And one of my first releases, 2016, number 146. Okay, maybe it wasn't one of my first, but it was one of the first slipcovers. Some people didn't think it was that cool. I like it. It's just like the shape of a coffin, but it's The Undertaker, Joe Spinell in another fucking movie. I mean, how if you're a horror fan, how you're not all over that? A Maniac fame. And he's in fucking Rocky too, as well. Like, you're not a star, but cult superstar Joe Spinell's one of his final movies in a dark and violent slasher featuring Spinell's most memorable and flamboyant performance. One of his most memorable. Yeah, I said it right. But yeah, The Undertaker, a lot of fun. I even remember one of the questions a few years ago was one of your favorite slipcases, and I bet they were like, really? Because it's so simple, but it's so perfect for the movie. I said, was this, and I got a coupon. So, yeah, The Undertaker. honorable mention, very close to be in my top 40. So, without further ado, 50 minutes in, if you're still here, I really appreciate it. My number 31 is a movie that is everything that Vinegar Syndrome is, for the most part. All crammed into a fucking blender. Raw Force. This is number 54, another early one. 2014. I had a blast with this. All I usually have to read is, there's a part, where is it? When Burbank Kung Fu Club travels to this mysterious island, they quickly find themselves facing a bloodthirsty vengeance of flesh-ripping kung fu fighting zombies, gun-toting white slave traders, and a band of strange monks who may be the only key to explaining the madness. Raw fucking Force. Just look at that cover. Just look at that cover. Anything in a movie that you can think of is in this fucking movie. 1982. This one's a blast. I unfortunately did not get the slipcover, because I believe there was a slipcover for this. Early on, because I was a little bit late to the game, I did miss out on some slipcovers. I wasn't as obsessed as I am now, and I buy everything. But yeah, there's no reverse or anything, and it did have a DVD. I know they don't do that anymore, and I know some people aren't too happy about that, but I won't really give my opinion. It's what it teach their own. But my favorite format is Blu-ray. I know 4K is great, and I do buy 4Ks, but still, I think Blu-ray is probably my favorite format. But Raw Force, number 31. If you're still here, thanks for sticking to the end. I know that was long-winded. I'm going to try to make the next ones a little bit shorter, and I think I should, because the first 20 minutes of this was just basically me telling about my history of Vinegar Syndrome and everything, and what is and isn't included type thing. But thanks for checking out my channel. If you're still here, again, thanks to the end. I can't stress that enough. It means a lot. Give me a like, give me a subscribe if you like what you see. I have a lot of other videos. Like I said, I have a ton of Vinegar Syndrome stuff, of unboxings and favorites. This is the first time, though, that I nailed down a top whatever, and it turned into top 40. The next episode will be my number 30 to, what would it be? 21. So, yeah. That should be out next week. Be on the lookout for that. If you enjoy that, check out my earlier episodes. I did a lot of podcasts with my buddy Adam, and hopefully he might be coming back at some point to do an episode here or there, which would be great. That's how the channel started, was a podcast. Now it's rankings and unboxings and just videos, because those weren't videos. But anyway, thanks again. I'm Eric again. This has been the Horde of It All Movie Podcast. Until next time.